Welcome to this episode of the Tower Moments. I am Allie, your guide through horrors. Content warning: this episode will be discussing sudden loss, trauma triggers, suicidal ideation, homelessness, violence, domestic violence, child loss, all of the things. If you are actively in crisis yourself, please reach out to the 988 Crisis Lifeline if you're in the United States, or your local crisis line if you're international or wherever you are. This episode is about the Tower card. And if you're watching the recording of this, here she is. This is the most fucked up card in the deck. This is the one that'll really wreck your shit. Everybody's afraid of the devil and everybody's afraid of death. This is the one that you need to be afraid of. So when you're looking at the Tower card, I mean, obviously, lightning is striking a tower, and there's a crown on top of the tower that's flying off into the sky. Fire is raining from the sky. The sky is black, and people are diving out of the windows, and it's on fire. The Tower card is symbolizing the destruction of nations, royalty, aristocracy, riches will not protect you from the tower. And it's essentially your whole life blows up when you have a tower moment. And it's sometimes it can be natural consequences of just a chain of events that have been set in motion by you or others around you. Sometimes it's a natural disaster and just total randomness. But the point is that the tower is the complete immolation and destruction of your life. There are some people out there who try to put a positive spin on the tower and say that, oh, it's not always negative. Sometimes you can have a positive tower moment. And respectfully, as somebody who has been reading tarot for 19 years and studying tarot academically, and who has lifed a lot of life, y'all are full of shit. I'm calling bullshit on all y'all. I would not trust a tarot reader who is, whitewashing toxic positivitying the fucking Tower card. When this card comes up in the reading, most of the time people don't, they think it might be bad, but it's not as like famous or popular as death or the devil. So they don't know to like, good God. But the readers do, and we all go, you could probably hear a tarot reader's butthole pucker when the Tower card comes up for a client. And the Tower represents the moment nobody wants to have, that 3 a.m. phone call that somebody's in the hospital or worse. The budget cuts, and now you lost the job that you thought was forever. Or you moved cross country to relocate for this dream job. You've been there a day, and now they're closing your division. And now you've moved across country and you don't have a job and you don't have income. A cancer diagnosis, a terminal illness diagnosis, a chronic illness diagnosis, a house fire, a pet death, any of these things, you know, your spouse is being investigated for white collar crime, and now all of your property is being seized as evidence and whatever by the government. You use your imagination. Just the crazy shit that can ruin your life in a heartbeat. Eviction. Eviction's another one. I have lived through more tower moments than most people. I can say this with my full chest. I have experienced 10 people's worth of trauma in my lifetime. I am 42 years old, and it has been rough from the go. I have literally been blown up in the military. I have dealt with domestic violence multiple times. What woman alive in America has not? I have dealt with SA. I have dealt with violence in the military. I have dealt with homelessness, alcohol addiction, uh, friend betrayal, intimate partner violence. My kid fucking died. My brother-in-law just died of cancer. Like, could we catch a break? Tell that story later. The Seattle story. So, the point is, I've been through a fucking lot. I've been evicted. My identity's been stolen. Washington State refused to give me my ID back. Each one of these felt like the ground just disappeared underneath me. I had no foundation. I was sinking. I was grabbing in the air for anything. And each one left me in the rubble afterwards thinking, how the fuck do I survive this? What am I supposed to do now? This episode is about what happens during the tower moment. This is kind of a two-parter episode I'm going to do. This one is about what happens during the tower moment. The next one's going to be about what happens after the tower moment. So check that one out next. So this is what happens inside the moment, not after, not once you've rebuilt, not once the smoke clears, when you are in the rubble and it's still falling on you. So I already kind of went over what the tower card symbolizes. This is the Rider-Waite deck, Rider-Waite Smith. This is the one that most other tarot decks are modeled after. It's this one or Thoth. There are some unique standout decks, but that's neither here nor there. So the tarot or the tower deck in the Rider-Waite, again, it looks like this: jagged rocks. There's two people falling. There's fire. There's lightning. Uh, it's bad. The building itself represents the beliefs, the systems, the relationships, the identities you've built for your whole life. This is your foundation, literally. The lightning striking from above, bolt out of the blue. It is a sudden, violent external force that is coming from the outside of your life. You didn't cause it, even though sometimes these are from natural consequences of actions and decisions you've made. It's not like you didn't ask for this. You cannot control it. You cannot avoid it. It's a major arcana card, so it's on this is happening. You have already passed the point where it could have been skirted, it could have been negotiated with. This showed up in minor arcana cards before it showed up like this. You had time and you had warnings sometimes, and you didn't acknowledge them. Now we're here. Sometimes it literally just jumps to this. Everything's fine and great and dandy, and then you all of a sudden you have a fucking tower. It be like that. Fire, destruction, but also illumination. Through the light of the flames, truth is revealed. And sometimes it's really hard truths. The two people falling, total loss of control. It's not a graceful exit. There's no dignity in this. It's violent, it's messy, it's painful. And the jagged rocks underneath it. You're falling on a very hard place. There's no soft landing. So, knowing all that, please explain to me how people are getting a positive thing out of this card. Like, I understand positivity can come after everything, but like, people are getting this card and being like, oh my God, yes, the tower. Like, get out of here. The tower is not about gradual change. Other cards like Death, Fool, Hangman, those cards are about gradual change. The tower is sudden. The tower is violent. The tower is the thing that you did not see coming. If we are rocking with astrology, this is anything Uranus is involved with. RIP Aquarius. Uranus rules Aquarius. It also rules the 11th house of, technology and community, but as in like the collective humanity. It can also be the thing that you've seen coming and you are powerless to stop, because once again, sometimes the tower is just, it cannot be avoided and it has to happen. A key distinction is that while the Tower is a violent negative card, bunny quotes negative, it does not mean something bad happened. It does, but it doesn't. It doesn't start and stop with something bad is happening. It means the structure and the foundation that you have built your life upon is no longer a thing. That's painful and hard and bad, but it's a lot deeper than just this is hard. It is your entire foundation must be unmade. Sometimes that structure just needs to fall. If it's an abusive relationship that you would just never leave. Looking at you, Libras. If it's harmful belief systems, racism, misogyny, anything to do with the alt-right, MAGA. By the way, this always is and always will be a fuck MAGA account. So, alt-right ain't right. And I don't like any of you. Go away. Anywho, jobs that you that suck and are just destroying you and taking advantage of you, but you won't leave. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking like it's not that easy to just leave a job. Sometimes you have to stay where you can get. This is the shitty thing about the Tower. The Tower doesn't give a fuck. The Tower doesn't care if it's easy or hard or even possible. This is the thing about the universe too. It doesn't care about how long it's going to take or if it's going to be easy or how difficult it's going to be or like if you don't have whatever to like make it happen right now. The universe does not care. It just wants the action. So you stay at that dead end job that you can't afford to leave. They're going to fire you. And now you have no choice but to get another job. The Tower forces action. It's like an eclipse, which I'm doing this episode on August 24th, 2026. There's a lunar eclipse in 2 or 3 days in Pisces. And, same team. Eclipses force change. The Tower forces change. The Tower does not care about fairness. I have a friend who says anything she's ever left behind has claw marks on it. She will not leave a bad situation or even like a less than ideal situation until she's got a better opportunity lined up waiting in the wings. It's a trauma response from her crazy ass childhood where a lot of awful, awful things also happened to her. But the not having something lined up and not having a safety net is critical for her. So anytime she's ever left anything behind, it has been kicking and screaming, and she's basically been forced to do it because uncertainty. Tower doesn't give a damn about fairness. Neither does nature, neither does the universe. So let's talk about the neuroscience of sudden crisis. When your life blows up, your brain cannot logic. You go into pure survival mode. This is neurologically what's happening in your brain. We call it the amygdala hijack. Your amygdala, which is the little walnut-sized thing in your brain that detects threats, fires, and becomes hyperactive before your prefrontal cortex, which is this part up here in your brain, which is logic, thinking, reasoning, impulse control, executive functioning. The amygdala fires before the prefrontal cortex can look at the situation and assess it and go, okay, maybe this isn't. We misinterpreted. This is fine. So this happens again and again and again, which now you are reacting to everything like it's a threat before your brain has time to register it logically. This is why you cannot think in a crisis. Your body is already in motion. Also, the implicit memory part of your brain that has scanned everything and every sensory input you've ever received since the day you were born has already kicked into pattern detection mode. Your nervous system overload, depending on the threat, can either look like sympathetic activation, which is fight or flight. Your heart will race, your breathing goes shallow and fast, kind of like a rabbit. Your muscles will tense up anyway, and you feel like you need to do something. You either need to fight or run, or like, this can also be like people who like clean when they're stressed out or angry. That is a fight, flight, sympathetic activation. Or you can go into dorsal vagal shutdown and collapse. I just filmed an episode yesterday about the polyvagal theory and the science and soul of trauma. And that episode is coming out in September. But the dorsal vagal shutdown and collapse, this is the flop freeze trauma response. I have a friend who does this, and we call it possuming. You will feel physical and emotional numbness. You will feel detached from your surroundings and yourself. Dissociation. It's physically harder to move your body. This is depression. This is bed rotting. And you just can't feel anything. You can't be bothered to feel. It's anhedonia, which is the big fancy psychology word for I don't feel anything. There's also your perception of time becomes distorted. Trauma researchers have figured out that during sudden crisis moments, time feels frozen or accelerated. Minutes feel like hours, hours feel like seconds. Your brain is struggling to process overwhelming information, so your sense of time and space is boogers. Your memories memories are stored all over the brain in different places. Memory fragmentation happens in traumatic incidents. They're stored differently than non-traumatic memories. They end up getting fragmented, broken apart, non-linear. Images, sounds, sensations, random, in no logical order. You cannot form a coherent narrative with a beginning, middle, and end to tell your story because you can't pull the memories into order. This is also why tower moments can feel like this doesn't feel real. Was this all a dream? Stuff like that. You're not broken when any of this happens. This is the correct physiological response to a scenario like this. This is not like a failing or a weakness. This is exactly what is supposed to happen by design to your body. So, if that's comforting in any way, shape, or form, you're having a normal reaction to an extreme situation. That's all it is. uh, what my tower moments have had in common. Here's what I've noticed that they've shared these connections. The ground literally disappeared. My foundation was gone, and that's the core of the tower moment. That's why I say I've lived 1,000 lives. You are not the same person from before the tower falls to after the tower falls. Uh, Domestic violence, your relationships are destroyed. You can't trust people anymore. um, Natural disasters, your home, your environment, your land gets fucking ravaged, and you had no control of it. You couldn't avoid it. Your fucking kid or your spouse or your sibling or anybody that you know gets diagnosed with a chronic or terminal disease. You can't stop it. Everybody can only do the best they can and hope for the best, but it's entirely possible that, somebody's gonna die and it's going to be fucking awful. The future you expected vanished. Your foundation is gone. When these things happen, when the ground disappears out from under you, what also happens is people will have a loss of faith. And that is destabilizing on an entirely different level. The other thing that all the tower moments had in common was I could not think myself out of anything. No amount of logic helped in the moment because you can plan and plan and plan. And when you're living in the trenches, you are at the whim and mercy of the environment around you. You can make a plan and it can get shot to hell. You can try to logic, nothing, the universe doesn't care about logic in these situations. If you're homeless, I'm going to go here and apply for a job. I'm going to do this and this and this. I mean, you could try to structure your day. Good luck, but you got to do what you got to do to survive when it comes up. Logic does not apply in chaos. You can't apply logic to illogical situations. That's a recipe for crazy making. So, how to survive a tower moment when it's actually happening to you in real time? I wish there was a neat step by step guide. Buy my guide for surviving absolute worst things that will ever happen to you in just 10 easy steps for free 90, whatever. Here's the truth. The only thing that you can do when this shit happens is survive it. Just survive it. It's very, Walking Dead, any zombie movie where like the virus first hits and everybody starts eating everybody and everybody's just running and trying to get away. That's what the aftermath while the tower is coming down is like. Exactly like that. Get out of the way and run. Do what you need to do. That being said, these are the things that helped me. And remember, I have experienced trauma and tower moments from losing my home, losing my job, losing my relationship, having to drive to the other side of the country where I don't know anybody, zero help from anybody. The VA didn't help me. Friends couldn't really help me. My family didn't help me. I was literally raw dogging life all by myself. I have no idea how I survived, to be honest. So, here's what's helped me in all of my situations. Name it. Psychiatrist Dan Siegel. I love Dan Siegel. His work is phenomenal. He talks about the neurobiological power behind naming what you're experiencing. And he says, name it to tame it. You cannot fix a problem that you cannot define or identify. This is why language is so important. You didn't do anything wrong 9 times out of 10. The structure is falling and I am inside of the building. The Titanic is going down and I am trapped inside of it. It is what it is. Number 2, decision fatigue. You need to be aware that decision fatigue is probably going to happen. Decision fatigue is what happens when an overwhelmed nervous system and an overstressed body start struggling with making decision after decision, when you have to make really hard, complex decisions. Each one gets harder and harder to navigate. You're second guessing yourself. You're worrying that you're missing details. You do start missing details because you're exhausted mentally and physically, and it just snowballs. The higher stakes the outcome of the decision are, the more crippling the decision fatigue becomes. It's spoon theory. Each decision you have to make when you're in these crisis moments takes an enormous amount of energy from you. It's eating up all of your spoons. So now you have less and less energy and capacity to continue to make these enormous decisions that sometimes are literally life or death. You need, when you have any moment of clarity in the beginning of this process, to plan for this. Remember that this is going to happen. I don't know how you're going to plan for it. Outsourcing, you're going to make lists ahead of time. These are all the fucking churches that are in my area that I can go to for aid. Even if you're not religious, always go to a church for help. Try to plan something. Try to find some kind of backup or lifeline during this process. And just be aware that when you start, it gets harder and harder to make these decisions. Again, this is part of the natural process. Safety, physical and emotional safety. Be as safe as you can. If you're at home keep your doors locked. Don't ever go outside, with your door and leave your door unlocked. Do not let people you don't know stay with you because like you just need to find some random roommate and make rent. Don't let the random person that is an acquaintance of an acquaintance that you bought weed off one time come over and like hang out and let your guard down. Don't let them move in with you. Don't take in some stray dusty man because he can help you pay the bills. Do not do that. If you have to, protect yourself. If you have to do something like that, protect yourself. Make sure your bedroom door is always locked and always have either an actual weapon or furniture or something around you that you can use as a weapon near you. Stay safe, especially as a female, as a woman, as a non straight person, non male person. People are predatory and will take advantage of you when you're vulnerable, and you need to be aware of that. Don't be paranoid, but don't be naive. If you're living in your car, park in well lit parking lots at night, truck stops, but don't be like running around the lot after dark. I say truck stops because they always have like restaurant, they have food facilities, they have showers. They're very populated, they're very well lit. That type of shit. Um, if you're living on the streets, try to get into the shelters overnight. The shelters are not perfect, but sometimes they're better than being outside. A lot of violence and crime happens inside of homeless shelters. If you don't feel safe inside of a homeless shelter, get to an area outside where you do feel safe, either by yourself or in a group of people. I know I already said, like, don't let people you don't know around you and like click up with them. But if you're homeless on the street, it's a whole different animal because there's safety in numbers. Um, People will have each other's backs in these situations. Somebody can like stand watch while everybody else is sleeping. You're less likely to get fucked with in a group of homeless people sleeping together and like kind of camping together than you are if you're by yourself, especially as a non-white male who is experiencing this. If you're in a hotel, lock your door. Don't ever tell anybody your room number. Don't tell anybody where you're staying. Once it's nighttime, stay inside your room. Do not open that door for anybody unless it's like hotel management and like they have proof that they're hotel management. Lock your door, lock your door, lock your door. Find an anchor. This is thing number 4. Find one anchor. One thing to ground you, either a person, a pet, a place, a practice, a meditation. Um, it could be your spouse, a therapist, taking a hot shower, going for a walk, meditating, yoga, whatever. If you partake of gardening, of the smoking variety, don't stop. Don't try to quit. If you smoke cigarettes or vape, do not try to quit. If you drink alcohol, do not try to quit. And I'll tell you why. The first time I had a breakdown, I was working at animal control for the city in Virginia Beach. And in Virginia Beach, animal control is part of the police department and the special operations division. The social worker ordered me to start smoking again because I had just started trying to quit like 3 days earlier. She ordered me to start smoking again. I think she actually gave me enough money to go buy a pack of cigarettes. She said you need every single coping tool that you can have right now. And if a cigarette's going to help you deal, you need a fucking cigarette. No quitting until you're more stable. You got to use what you have. Don't binge, don't go crazy with it, but like don't stop. So anything that regulates your nervous system in the moment, don't stop when you're in these moments. 5 is let your body do what it needs. The harm that we cause our systems by trying not to be emotional, that racks up. And crying is a natural pressure release on our nervous system. They've done studies that show like the protein and chemical makeups inside tears, from happy tears, laughing tears, crying tears. There's like endorphins and stress release hormones that get released. So cry. If you need to lay on the floor in a fetal position, crying until you literally vomit, cry. I've done it. I've been there. You got to get it out. You'll feel terrible, but it's not gonna, build up and cause, a heart attack. The last one is reach out even if it's hard. Shame will tell you to hide, that you shouldn't let anybody see you like this. Connection says you don't have to do this alone. Find one safe person and tell them, hey, my whole life's falling apart and I need help. Here's the hard truth nobody wants to say about this, but I have experienced this every time I've needed help, so I'm going to say it. Sometimes when you're going through the worst moments of your life, nobody will come. Nobody will come for you. Your friends disappear. Your family will just be like, "Hey man, that's tough. I hope that works out and you figure it out. And if you need anything, let us know." The irony is that you are letting them know while you actively need help and they are telling you no. In a truly, truly brutal tower moment, you will be completely alone. And in these times, you need to rely on yourself to keep yourself safe. And you need to contact every community service, community organization, nonprofit, church, every resource, agency, organization you can find. You need to be relentless in contacting them and pursuing them. This is you literally fighting for your life. Your life might literally depend on this. So, so for the arts and crafts portion, the tarot portion, we're going to do a 3-card read. I call it the rubble spread. This is when you're still in the tower moment, not when you rebuilt, not when everything's safe a couple of years later, when you're in the suck. Card number 1 represents what is falling, what structure, belief, or identity is collapsing right now. Card number 2 is what is true right now, not the big picture. In this exact moment, what is true right now? What is factually true that I can prove? Card number 3 is one anchor, the one thing you can hold on to today, even if it's just yourself. For the purpose of this reading, I have pre-pulled cards that match this scenario and description. So for the what's falling position, for example, you may get the Emperor reversed. The interpretation for this will be the collapse of structure, authority, and control. Your stability is collapsing. Everything that you've built is collapsing. Your empire is collapsing. You cannot hold everything together anymore. What is true right now? The Four of Swords upright. The interpretation is exhaustion. You need to rest. You're not okay. And that's okay. And it's true. You may not have the opportunity to rest and the time to rest right now, but this is where your body is. What's true right now is I'm exhausted and I need to rest. When people say they're soul tired, Four of Swords. One anchor, the Empress upright. The interpretation, the anchor is your body, your creativity, the fact that you're still above ground, food, where you can get it, even if it's in small doses. Nourishment for mind, body, and soul. We're going to close with what I wish someone had told me when I was going through all of my assorted tower moments. Number 1, you are not broken. you're in a tower moment. I didn't start, I mean, a lot of these happened before I even started tarot. I've been reading tarot for 19 years, and a lot of things happened to me before that happened. I had no idea what a tower moment even was. I just knew bad shit kept happening. You're not broken still would have helped. Number two, you don't have to make meaning of this right now. There's time for that later. Sometimes the meaning is that bad things randomly happen, and they just do. It's not a punishment, and it's not a character flaw on you. It's not a moral assessment. It's not God punishing you. You don't deserve this. Bad things just happen. This is very important reframing for this if you have CPTSD. Three, it's okay to not be okay. It is okay to just be like, dude, I'm not good. I'm not coping with this. I'm not handling it well. It's not okay. Four, this can either be your whole story or this can be a part of your story. You can decide which one later. You don't have to decide if this is going to define you or if this is going to be you right now. Uh, what are we on? 6? You have no idea how it's going to happen, but you will survive this. You will survive this. Your resilience and your strength and your courage and your resourcefulness will surprise even you. You will survive this. And the last one is you may have to do things that you don't want to do or swore you'd never do just to survive. And that's fine. That's okay. You're not a bad person. You're not an evil person. You are doing what you have to do in a shitty situation to stay alive, and staying alive is the goal. The caveat is please try not to hurt other people as much as you possibly can. Avoid bleeding on people who didn't cut you, and avoid hurting people around you unless it's absolutely unavoidable. And I know this sounds crazy because I'm a therapist in training and I've been through all of this. Like we we get fucking real here on Tower Moments. You're gonna hurt people. Just try to do it as minimally as possible and just understand that what you have to do to survive when you're fighting for your life is okay. Remember, again, this can either be a time in your life or this can define your entire life. You don't have to decide which one you're going to hold on to right now, but don't forget that. Don't forget to take this shit seriously. This has been the Tower Moments. When the tower falls. Surviving the moment everything blows up. Surviving your life is a lie. If you want more like this, the rubble spread is going to be on my Patreon for all tiers, and the journal meditation for whatever month I publish this episode in will align with this subject matter and also be available. The Patreon includes tarot mini episodes, astrology nonsense, um, with therapeutic overtones and themes. Sometimes I do them as a full on recorded mini episode. Sometimes I do audio only. Sometimes it's just going to be like an essay style email that I'll push out or post on the Patreon. Either way, there's stuff. I talk about deconstruction of therapy and spirituality practices. I talk about the ethics in the industry, modalities, explaining them, like what the fuck is IFS? Um, what the fuck is a theoretical orientation? How do I know what kind of therapist I need? And my experiences in grad school. You're going to learn about going to grad school and learning to become a therapist in real time with me while I do it. So if you've ever been really fucking nosy about being a therapist, you're not sure if you want to go to school for it, any of that shit, this is also the place for you. And all that jazz. The show notes are going to have a plethora of references for additional reading. So go ahead and check those out. And remember, it is never too late to start over.